Most people think situationships happen because someone is afraid of commitment. But sometimes, they happen because commitment stopped feeling safe long before love ever arrived. Not every bisexual person falls into situationships. But for those who do, the pattern can feel less like a series of bad choices, and more like a familiar emotional landscape. One that feels strangely comforting, even while it's quietly breaking them apart. You tell yourself this one is different. They text every day. They remember little details. They make you laugh. They hold your hand when nobody's looking. Yet every time you wonder what this relationship actually is, the conversation drifts away. Another week passes. Then another month. Somewhere deep inside, you already know the answer. But certainty can feel more frightening than uncertainty when you've spent years wondering whether anyone could fully choose every part of you. That realization changes people. Quietly, being bisexual often means living with contradictions that never seem to disappear. You can be visible but misunderstood, accepted by some people while questioned by others, too straight in one room, too queer in another. Eventually, that constant need to explain yourself begins to shape how you expect love to feel. Not secure, conditional. Modern dating only magnifies it. Dating apps encourage endless possibilities. Every swipe whispers that someone better might be one profile away. Social media rewards appearances over consistency. Relationships become performances before they become foundations. People don't always leave because the connection disappeared. Sometimes they leave because another option appeared on a screen. That kind of uncertainty trains the nervous system to stay alert. Always scanning, always wondering, always preparing for disappointment before happiness has a chance to settle in. And when someone finally enters your life who feels emotionally unavailable, something strange happens. Instead of running away, you move closer, because unpredictability feels familiar. The late-night messages, the mixed signals, the affectionate weekends followed by emotional silence. It hurts, but it also resembles something you've survived before. The brain has a dangerous habit of confusing familiarity with safety, even when familiarity is painful, especially when it is. People often assume situationships continue because nobody asks the difficult questions. But many people already know the answers. They're simply terrified of hearing them out loud. Because asking, "What are we?" risks losing the little connection that already exists. Partial love starts feeling safer than complete rejection. That becomes its own survival strategy. Over time, you stop chasing commitment. You start chasing reassurance. Tiny moments become emotional currency. A fast reply, compliment, an invitation, a heart emoji. Each one temporarily quiets the anxiety, until it returns again. Validation begins to imitate intimacy, and loneliness becomes easier to ignore than to confront. The exhausting part isn't the waiting, it's the editing. You carefully choose which emotions to reveal. You avoid sounding needy. You rehearse messages before sending them. You delete paragraphs that feel too honest. You become incredibly skilled at managing another person's comfort while quietly abandoning your own. Without noticing, you're disappearing inside your own relationship. People call this overthinking, but often it's emotional surveillance. Watching every conversation, analyzing every pause, searching for hidden meaning inside ordinary interactions. Because uncertainty doesn't simply create confusion, it creates hypervigilance. You begin monitoring people the way others monitor weather forecasts, looking for emotional storms before they arrive. And eventually, you stop asking whether someone makes you happy. You only ask whether they still want you. Those are very different questions. One protects your future. The other protects your fear. The deeper wound often isn't rejection itself. It's invisibility. Many bisexual people grow up feeling like others see only fragments of who they are. One relationship becomes evidence that they're straight. Another becomes proof they're gay. Their identity is constantly interpreted instead of simply accepted. That repeated experience creates emotional fatigue. You start believing every relationship will eventually require another explanation, another defense, another correction. So when someone avoids defining the relationship, part of you almost understands it. If labels have complicated your identity your entire life, maybe avoiding labels feels strangely familiar. But avoiding labels doesn't erase uncertainty. It extends it. Love without clarity slowly transforms into emotional guesswork. And guesswork is exhausting. Modern dating rarely rewards emotional depth anymore. It rewards emotional convenience. People want vulnerability that's easy to consume. Complexity becomes something to avoid. The result? Many people become emotionally available only when it requires nothing permanent. Connection becomes temporary by design. That's why situationships can feel so addictive. They're filled with possibility. Possibility releases hope. Hope keeps people waiting. Waiting delays grief. And delayed grief often feels easier than immediate heartbreak. Until one day, you realize you've spent months building a future with someone who was only visiting your present. That realization doesn't arrive dramatically. It arrives quietly, usually while rereading old messages, or noticing you've memorized someone's habits without ever knowing where you truly stand in their life. That's when another uncomfortable truth appears. Sometimes you're not mourning the relationship. You're mourning the version of yourself that believed this time would finally be different. That version trusted easily, imagined freely, loved openly. Losing that version hurts even more than losing the person. But awareness changes something. You begin recognizing patterns instead of romanticizing them. You notice that consistency feels unfamiliar only because chaos became normal. You realize emotional intensity isn't the same as emotional safety. You understand that someone making you feel chosen for a night isn't the same as choosing you every day. Real intimacy doesn't keep you guessing. It lets your nervous system rest. Because the deepest human desire isn't endless excitement. It's emotional certainty. Not certainty that nothing will ever go wrong, but certainty that you won't have to earn your place in someone's life every single day. Perhaps that's the hidden psychology behind falling into situationships again and again. It isn't that you're incapable of recognizing healthy love. It's that unhealthy uncertainty has been speaking your emotional language for so long that stability sounds unfamiliar. Until one day, you stop mistaking confusion for chemistry. You stop translating silence into hope. You stop calling emotional inconsistency potential. And for the first time, being fully chosen no longer feels unrealistic. It simply feels like something you no longer want to negotiate away.